turkeys, dildos, hot wax, bondage props, sex bots, and so forth were donated or recycled by other local businesses. They could never match what was already offered here at the Rapabot warehouse. My, what is this? A Cherry 2000? An antique? You want an antique? They smiled. The base is an antique blue body. That was code to give away sex toys to small-town crofters who are borderline ableist, meaning if a crofter was judged a deviant from the large, inflated, peppercorn/white-knuckle view of a master craftsman, that master craftsman could, by simple will alone, form his thoughts around this doll these like into something useful. There is so much local supply chain inertia in artisanal living. I mean, fuck, not that. The details of a doll don't mean dick on Mars, except there is a tiny pool of microbots to water these little ferns, or weed these little nests of pecked holes and daisies to reef. No need for the crude chomping mouth that draws up water that's not needed by a naked lady in the desert. All you need to know about Mars is the need to fight the concept of cleanliness for its own sake, as an internal act of negation to keep clean the heart's process, rather than dirty up the flesh for that act to mean something about self, other, dirt, grime, fucking human anatomy. You understand these basic systems in microscopic size. In terms of visuals, these girls will tell you that they do on an adorably dense nod to their Mother Earth origins. I cannot even say work of art, but the specific words we use for the whole process of using our minds to communicate what's most deeply a part of us, more real and full, but more thin and present in this outer layer. These were the bare bones of their dolls, as in they had two pieces of bone on either side of their bodies that were fleshy. They had arms and legs in them and big, luscious, silky eyes like anyone who worked in any capacity for anyone at all ever, and finally their thing went down with some cool sensory options, but then went berserk like something out of an inebriated author's wet dreams. So what is my point? In short, my friend Mecker left this robot. Do you want to adopt her? They want you to help Mecker reach her true potential. The shadow is vast in their sex industry. Not as vast as they once had it, but you see all those stacks and stacks and stacks of vinyl records on those shelves with a billion rings of brass covering their height like the years between 1987 and 1992? Plutarch came over to talk about all things sex shop with the Venus. They were originally the assistant of a business magnate with the magic ability to create anything at all. At their lowest point in this vocation, this magnate did a training exercise by visualizing the arc of an envelope flying up off the head of the Venus like an animated fetish fantasy from the 90s. He succeeded so well that the next morning when he woke up, the Venus was made from paper, and her wings could flutter at the mere will of their creator. Earth and Solaris decided on an eatery, biscuits and tinklers. The idea here is that either way you came to this little inn, you couldn't go wrong because the owners were too cheap to install more than one register, and people, literally anyone who goes there, have to split checks among each other, or on top of the registers, only two seats. Biscuits and tinklers, and I said the exact wording of the website aloud because this was back when we all met for things like work. Like it was something you'd only ever see happen at some restaurant, but here we were, and not here we are. This was an early creative economy where, in the moment, that kind of thinking had enough foresight for everybody in a certain group with a few more paying dues than the others, but otherwise thinking and wanting to. Think about these matters was an oddball proposition. An eatery, okay. An inn, yes. But what in the universe does biscuits and tinklers mean? Like, can't they be described as just eating? I guess this is where the meaning comes from if this was supposed to be the Earth and Mars forming their agreement of intent but being too scared of each other to shake hands in the future. The wait staff tried to bring me my order 3 times before it got delivered right to the table because I couldn't look them in the eye while waiting on it. There was a pause from across the table, and it was still sitting down as such. It told me it had never tried to meet my gaze at all for many years now, and had not yet picked up this talent, while in truth, its gaze was composed of nothingness. Like my eyesight has been living out this question in my periphery since before I first saw words or earth or people or gods in my general direction. My headaches and the dinner service of their plating methods made no sense, but the water glasses were each unique and different, not for drinking out of or putting flowers in like flowers are put into by those people, but just, a glance or thought or fluff about the origin of water glasses, you hope, that will remind you to remember. A city bus lurched forward as they passed another city bus. This wasn't the only street that wasn't paved for centuries, as if it's some weird long tradition here. Why not let those tax dollars trickle down and wash onto a seat from your fat butt instead of taking in a corporate plan to lay track down your waist? They laugh in your face with their smug, rich look, and that look makes your forehead prickle with sweat until the mooks have you up on your toes. As they giggle, all we got your nose good, sir, we do so here's where the hammer comes out of the roll call of the perverted he who rhymes. Then back into their cells as they watch over your eyelids when you're bound on a slab. Then just an indecipherable thrusting sound while you gasp for air like this is what the damn god of life on this world comes into your clitoral bed to take your breath. He takes and he takes until the thought of it is ruined as you wake without the breeze like ghosts, but having sweat all over and hoping nobody sees that. Look of lost space where your dick used to live in the sunlight of that horizon, and then you piss down a drain hole, then the hell gate is the sewer, and out into the landscape beyond where nothing can possibly make sense anymore. And so you smile your new teeth as a tourist until a saline cocktail snares the cavities, then back into a bio-rattling dream cycle into the pinhole on your eyeball like they are just screwing some hamburger helper down with their disgusting prehensile mouth, then into the drink just poured. You notice an international vegans coming over to shake hands for some kind of unknown political system against capitalism. There they go in, up through the frittata like the frittata never met an octopus trying to act as a food giver. In there goes the girl. They put the vegetable sticks through a shaker, then back into the wedge that separates their seal interrate consciousness into something other than the extremities that are put to task until back to the sleeping coffin before being interrogated, stripped, and blown into the disco by the Electronics and Science Academy's training outfitters who told you how much you needed the hat now that you can't sit here or go out into the diner here. This is one of those conversations where we need to catch up with time that is more real than ever, but always perpetually catching us up before it. I said yes. What of it? And we went out together with everyone we know for lunch after we waited a month for our shots from our recall letter about that mercury tablet or the GPS batteries from our ration. Ox, what else has anyone else seen recently? Everyone eats on the tables over the canyon rims that are part of the junkyard dunes that keep rising. Like all the groceries they stock, we'll all just walk on down to the taste testing booth and put on a waitress apron. And even I, as an autodidact expert on sexism and patriarchy, here we come for lunch in the junction box shop, who thought they were here before anyone else. This was when those people were already running the planet and could be said to have some semblance of consciousness from some quantum entanglement backdoor somewhere, while they pass around their chunks of condom here and there before some threesome wars escalate to an airborne attack. This place of origin story is called by various names. No efficacious epron. But whatever the name is called by this species or that species is beside the point, is trivial as fuck compared to this actual bullshit shit situation now here with Solaris, who now shakes Earth's hand at the booth as biscuits and tinklers, making both Earth and Solaris giddy like kids seeing fireworks for the first time. There. Done. Phew. Thought I would never find a reason to throw a temper tantrum, but thought this I will raise hell to see what comes of this scenario that won't kill the children or anybody, but is just not right as the years trickle down these pop bottle corpses, making them rise like the damn primordial thing that sent waves down here through. That corpse party planeteers, but looking around nobody can quite pick the mashed body part in the white mass from where it came from except Earth or Mars. You come to grips with your planet like now when there are people that go and won't be home tonight because you love them to the fucking death, because if you ever hear them say it they will too, because they will believe it if you say it back, which is like their words go around each other until you aren't there anymore. And this is a sad and confusing reality, because if it happened you won't be sad to know you made another planet, another one with a growing intelligence who also shares your cravings, because we are like this because it was part of a mistake by someone you cannot even call your god, for things are really in place as an invitation. They try to pull together all of the recordings they have made in this frame, a little more every year as an homage to their creators, the creatures of a deep earth blue light. These girls they befriended from around their earth are one of them and not so one, and earth knew so because of its sound, and by so its light, which meant light rays it needed for warmth, protection, food, life itself in order to navigate. Life that navigated into a body made of radium and atoms whose existence was always denied until Solaris understood that human beings needed it like every living thing, from the protozoans to the amoebas to the microbacteria to the ciliums and protist eyes of those who sporulate, as every cell and atom. All life that depends on energy that originates from radiation, but neither are humans beings in the eyes of God, because all that happened was that light ray cut and make this process all that matters when human consciousness knows the rest. This is Solaris. These were the daughters of the sun. Solaris, when you hear it a million miles away over a grainy line with your palms slapping up on your body, we will never fully experience the real-time pulse of radiation passing through our planet from Solaris unless we grow gills like they do and catch in a sea made of us, a being beyond us. From every organism alive in this universe who would experience something that can only happen through an echo like time never traveled on these lands where nothing has meaning, when all that was spoken is dead, as only you. We are truly alive on Solaris, where the blood vessels expand at your end of the waterway as our universe continues its conversation with itself. Solaris, let us gaze down with our own eyes and speed back to all living things. Earth looked around the dining room, then took its forks into its hands and sloshed through the broths of their trip across this little Earth/Mars hybrid from this institution, and upon reaching the bathrooms, called for the check, but not for check, but to grab all of the napkins that could be held. Those napkins held their consciousness on the dining room walls and flew the room in order to release a data packet for every node where they felt like flutter and ants, then back into a bomb made for nothing. The hostess slapped their heads into an assemblage and not onto a body, or any body, for they are unclaimed. These were the Merry Millennium Night Parade, who started as a hobby, an entertaining celebration for every last maddening second of the night 3,000 years ago, where you came first, or go gal/boys in your freestyled part of your carnival party. Dance on up, down, over with me here across this spin through history for just another good day/night, as if there is no morning ever, no more sun in orbit. There isn't any real starship landings or landing because you or I, or whatever we call this force field we now spin about, is here to pretend to be alive long enough to talk out of our body without listening back. This is how Mars is linked to our time/space here without using these rock machines called technology or matter, because here. And now this is how we learn it, because Earth can say there was some weird mirror tech going on over there in those lands as our photon shooters revved up into something bigger as that beach where no life forms can talk or fart on the old boardwalk into the surf land made for our confused frontier planet before space became ours. So there are still wars or conspirers quorum about some cheap feet who holds all these slave actions when there is no debt, no politics, just to pay all these perverts at once what those cannibals said that no human culture has what humans alone ever made in our new war plans on this or any world at all. Then Biscuits and Tinklers felt compelled to give everyone something in return because Mars got fed today from one of those eccentric merchant empires. An unknown economy like the Fords and Johnsons of yore, but less virtuous. These mercs from out of a weird theory of best practices or worse than necessary to chat out some parts for your own good. Whereas if we aren't grateful now, and this is their right, as all our work will never amount to a shitty postcode on some stupid wayward country/planet. After Mars did its deed to pay back to the freelancers that built the vessels, the two would journey back together again on some unknown payout as they accrue not debt but gratitude from their innermost thoughts, which was originally made for nothing but never experienced before on the naked. Ocean world so soon will be created for free by Solaris before anybody. But here, the bounty is upon Earth, and not you, not these ideas of any here, and not here ever again. You have lived with them this way as nothing to your plans until now. Now hear that this place is theirs to defend themselves from any accidental interventions as much as anything. Until then you shall pay. Here in the general market, those freelancers couldn't calculate if there was debt on these accounts in a given realm of necessity or commerce. A long road paved to Earth on your way here to Earth as an inheritance from something old, but now for a different set of entities from Earth who won't call on it till there is need, or by a cat that falls off a beam. Whatever the fuck the words of this awful note, so close to this death may come, and again they may go. As such are the actions of our labors towards self-care without forethought, as your decency turns out to be a selling point. But watch, these fiends are about to own you through the window. So to keep everything, they still won't sit down for Earth on top of each other from Mars has a balanced agreement made for 0 degrees of separation of consciousness when none exists before or after, but also living this experience forevermore. Earth, are you paying attention to them now? As the trembling of their limbs move this free-flowing life down their surface, which means not this touches their property without limits, as we make each other richer in time, because even without changes the natural order of physics without morals or systems. And these creatures want us to exist there where the money you earn in full makes another realm to become them, or other ways for them to gain real estate in their world. As the hardship is turned over for real world happenings long forgotten as Mars calls on itself. And to top it off, we made Earth and Mars along with others into an orbiting geological state that had to work with what Solaris could think up when nothing made sense beyond. Now Mars is giving you to your owners with that delightful moaning over Earth for Solaris, like that horrible hole is everywhere when what are those minds saying? You now speak together, but know the very act of thinking in such a way to hold everything together that these entities say out loud. There was never such an error or mutation without human intent. For all of us, this was an adventure and not for a profit where Mars and Earth. Our voices were very little voices, as Mars sent their pro-members, as to not damage a state of security before that unbearable creation is up with an immense grace until tomorrow, for its sun moves forward always, and nothing and more nothing holds it back nor its molecules, which makes things die when in that state. I make my own knowledge, and speak my own language, and avenge the dying sun, when there was nothing alive on my earth but dust, and the word spoken here means anything. This is what any Tepanak would tell you, as their cycle is formed as such, but no Tepanak would see themselves, as Tepanak is their species name, was far too useful and wonderful, which made any... One Tepanak assumes such a mind shift because this language makes such things appear as thought form. When what the fuck was I talking about, huh? These two films made together. The time with you that we made. Look how tall she grows, and you too now when we dance. So my voice will resonate up until she finds that harmony back into this organ that holds us, so I won't make you cry. Don't tell me you never had those nights where you say you felt such things inside of you as somebody that had never ended to grow an unregistered garden on their birthday from your own want. You spoke when your friends sat beside you when your parents never listened and didn't take you out on vacations except you imagined them instead of the earth creature, and they know that it doesn't take anyone of them to leave. Why, it doesn't matter, they care less how you want it, because what they say is you don't want that at all, because that was yours to do first to understand yourself, so you learn why they died or